It's been 8 years since Rick and Morty graced our screens and changed pop culture as we know it, for better and for worse. With 5 seasons of gloriously gross interdimensional cable under our belts, and a new season just over a week away, we thought, it'd be fun to look back on some details only the hardest of hardcore fans could have noticed. I've lost count as to how many of Rick's interspecies booty calls have been the subject of an episode, but season 5's 4th episode, Rick Dependent Spray, is probably the first time we've seen Rick have sex with a horse, and hopefully it is the last. The episode kicks off with Morty discovering a breeding station in his mom's veterinary office, and he proceeds to use it to do the only thing teenage boys know how to do. Following that, Rick starts a genetic experiment using a barrel of what he assumes is horse semen. But we know it isn't, and Morty knows it isn't, but he just lets Rick assume it is horse semen. This leads to an outbreak of vicious sperm monsters that can only be stopped by mankind joining forces with an underground race of horse people known as the Chuds. How do we achieve this union? Through the union of Rick and the Chud princess, Ponyetta, of course. Their love, if you can call it that, manifests itself as a baby that is surprisingly more horse than man-horse. This may be a deliberate reference to when My Little Pony featured a background pony that suspiciously resembled Rick Sanchez 3 years prior. Considering this episode revolves around horse semen jokes, that is likely the case. It may also be why this is the lowest rated episode of the show. And if you don't understand why, you have not been on the internet very long. And trust me, that is a good thing. Season 2's autoerotic assimilation was the first time Rick's romantic life was the plot of an episode. Rick's former lover, the hive mind species Unity, takes over an entire planet, and they have one of the most ludicrous flings that you can imagine. Rick takes advantage of the population of an entire planet in a number of ways, including forcing several members to create his own TV show. Fans of Dan Harmon's previous work might notice that the show he describes bears a striking resemblance to the college sitcom Community, right down to the social dynamics and the fact that it was canceled and then brought back. We even see alien actors gathered in one of the show's classic study group scenes. While this was probably just a reference to a beloved past project, it could also secretly be a backdoor pilot for another revival of the show set in space. I am basing this, by the way, on absolutely nothing other than it would be rad. Morty's Mind Blowers kicks off with Morty having his mind filled with the secrets of the universe by the Truth Tortoise, several of those secrets forming the gags of the episode. Although one of those secrets was heard before the titular mind-blowing, the Truth Tortoise speaks the words, "I'm a beetle, Paul is dead," in garbled backwards talk. This is referencing the classic Paul is dead conspiracy theory, where many people believe that Paul McCartney of the Beatles actually died in 1966, and he's been replaced by an imposter. The evidence surrounding this theory is actually really interesting. Conspiracy-minded Beatlemaniacs say that the band left clues in their music. The song Taxman, George Harrison gives his advice for those who die, which the conspiracy theorists believe to mean Paul. The same theorists also claim that Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band contains the recorded phrase, "Paul's dead, I miss him," when the album is played backwards. So if we are to assume Paul was actually dead the whole time, was he replaced by the Truth Tortoise? Or did his imposter evolve into the Truth Tortoise like Jack Harkness in Doctor Who? Considering Dan Harmon's a fan of that show, it's a possibility, but somehow I suspect we are never finding out. Speaking of imposters, Season 5's Mortyplicity is a cloning disaster taken to its logical extreme, or at least as logical as Rick and Morty can get. The episode revolves around dozens upon dozens of decoy versions of the Smith family discovering the existence of other decoy families. This results in all of them trying to kill each other in an effort to preserve their own existence, which the true Rick describes as an Asimov Cascade. This phenomenon is a reference to Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, which are listed as A robot may not harm a human or allow a human to become harmed. B. A robot must obey a human's orders unless it conflicts with the first rule. And C. A robot must protect its existence as long as it doesn't conflict with the first two laws. And as it turns out, the episode's events actually follow the laws of robotics, as the existence of the decoy families is to protect the human creators, and they only end up killing other decoys, not humans. Rick and Morty was not the first animated show about irresponsible family members fooling around with interdimensional travel. That crown goes to Gravity Falls, created by friend of Dan Harmon, Alex Hirsch. The Season 2 cliffhanger features Grunkle Stan, the kid-friendly Rick, opening a dimensional portal, resulting in several belongings of his getting sucked in, never to be seen again. On that show, anyway. Close Encounters of the Rick Kind debuted the Council of Ricks, and one of the scenes where they pursue our Rick and Morty features a familiar mug floating out of an interdimensional portal. I guess with Morty debuting in multiverses, the concept of a Gravity Falls rep wouldn't be too out of the question, would it? The Gravity Falls connections do not stop there. Alex Hirsch voiced Toby Matthews, one of Morty's classmates that only appeared in a couple of episodes. There isn't much to say about him other than he was in a brief relationship with Morty's sister Summer, and that his appearance is loosely based on Alex Hirsch himself. Although there is something to note in how the only times we've seen Toby, he's in a relationship with one of two redheads. Gravity Falls' main character, Dipper Pines, is often seen pining over Wendy, the red-headed girl next door. If you choose to view Dipper as Alex's self-insert, you could interpret this parallel as him living out his fantasy of finally getting the girl that got away. Although you really shouldn't, as nobody involved in this video that you're watching right now knows Alex Hirsch personally, and it would be rude to spread blatant misinformation. While the town the show takes place in is rarely brought up, if at all, it's been a point of debate for some time. While co-creator Justin Roiland has tweeted that the Smith family live in Washington State, the existence of Shoney's in Season 2 directly contradicts that information. Beth brought up in Season 1 that she was a bright-eyed girl from Muskegon, Michigan, and a character in Season 3 describes Morty as having run away from the Midwest. Roiland later mentioned in a live stream that the Smiths live near Comedy Castle, which is a comedy club located in Royal Oak, Michigan. And now that this is basically confirmed, this opens the doors for stories that delve into the state's pop culture mythology. The door to an Evil Dead spoof is wide open, and I can only imagine how Bruce Campbell showing up as a Rick and Mortified Ash would excite the fans. Much like the science fiction writers that influence it, this show is no stranger to psychedelics. The beloved Season 2 episode, Morty Night Run, is home to the Goodbye Moonman song, sung by a fart cloud to honor the passing of David Bowie. Side note, this is what I want to show to my kids to demonstrate what LSD is like. Some of the animation in this sequence bears a striking resemblance to the work of Anthony Francisco Shepard's The Music Scene, which also aired on Adult Swim. While he is not credited as an animator for that episode, he did also animate some Rick and Morty bumpers in the same style, so it's probably safe to assume that it was him. Fans are all familiar with Evil Morty, and have been since the end of Season 1. The unexpected heel turn of a Morty controlling his Rick brought with it some fascinating implications of where the series could go, and the showrunners were unafraid to play the long game with this one. We did not even see Evil Morty again until what? The 7th episode of Season 3? The Rick Lantis mix-up? Seeing Evil Morty take advantage of a broken system under the guise of promising a new age of equality between Ricks and Mortys further cemented him as the show's greatest threat. However, would you believe the character never took that name until Season 5? In the season finale, Rick Mirai Jack, it's only now that Evil Morty acknowledges the title by acknowledging how his actions paint him in an evil light, even though he just wanted to escape the abusive relationship with his and all other Ricks. In the post-credits scene, Mr. Poopy Butthole is the one to actually refer to Evil Morty by the given name, followed by him remarking that Rick cost him his relationship with his wife. Definitely leaves us with the impression that Evil Morty might be a misnomer. I have no idea if we will ever see Evil Morty again, but if we do, I hope he finds his own name. The Season 3 finale, titled The Rick, Chury, and Morty Date, features multiple scenes of our duo blowing off the American president to play Minecraft VR, which honestly is what I would do too. Later on in the episode, the president hatches a scheme to tear the two away from their game. While Morty initially protests, Rick points out that South Park already did a Minecraft-themed episode, which aired exactly 4 years prior to that episode on October 1st, 2013. But this meta jab has layers, as Morty's specific phrasing of "South Park already did it" is a nod to South Park's 86th episode, "Simpsons Already Did It," which revolved around Butters struggling to find a plotline that had not already been done on The Simpsons' legendary decade-spanning run on TV. It's a very Rick and Morty thing to openly acknowledge their influences like that, but this does make me think that someday another irrelevant new hotness will come along and make the same exact joke. And now I feel old and a little depressed. Okay, quick, let's get on to the butts. There are few consistent comforts in life, and a consistent release schedule for Rick and Morty seasons is not one of them. But getting a Mr. Poopy Butthole life update at the end of each season finale is, and the world's better off for it. Most fans are more invested in MPB's journey than Rick and Morty's at this point. We've seen our bright-eyed bestie get shot, pull his life around, get a girlfriend, start a family, and at the end of season 5, we've seen him lose it all. And now I'm depressed again. Okay, let's look back onto a happier time for now. Following the end credits of season 3, we finally get to see MPB and his happy family, his beautiful wife and adorable top-hatted son. Your immediate assumption is that the family just dresses like that by choice, but if you look closely at the background of their dining room, you see the trio at the moment of their son's birth. Every single one of them has a top hat. This leads many fans to question if the Poopy Buttholes are either genetically dapper or they always come prepared with fashionable headgear. Either way, they've certainly got that drip. Ah, yeah, I just said it and I just got paid to say it. Poopy Buttholes have drip. God, I love this job. Mortyplicity gets its name from the Michael Keaton movie Multiplicity, which is about a clone who gets cloned. But that's not the only major movie reference in this episode. The replica decoys of the Smith family battling it out with each other is very reminiscent of Highlander. If you haven't seen Highlander, that movie's about a species of immortals who fight to the death over the millennia until only one remains. It's full of action, romance, and a score entirely composed of Queen songs. The episode's final scene gag of Mortyplicity features Wooden Jerry as the surviving decoy, but all he can do is survive in his broken body, as his mind has to witness the rise and fall of new civilizations, from Christianity to cowboys and then back to Christianity. This series' requisite bullying of Jerry is accompanied by Queen's Who Wants to Live Forever, which punctuated one of Highlander's most tragic scenes, as we watch our immortal hero lose the love of his life to old age, reflecting on the unexpected tragedy of immortality. In Highlander, we cried tears of sadness, but in Rick and Morty, we cried tears of joy. Actually, before we go on to the next topic, is anyone else surprised that nobody made a too many cooks joke in this episode? Or did everyone just forget about that random Adult Swim short? I feel like with this show's tendencies to be intentionally behind the times when it comes to memes, it would fit. Hey, maybe next season. Remember our duo's frantic chase through Interdimensional Customs in the series pilot? That served as the series' blueprint for how the show could present such exciting plots within alien worlds that are equal parts outlandishly alien and depressingly anachronistic. The simple yet repugnant designs of the various alien species mesh surprisingly well alongside the disgusting doldrums of airport security. The densely packed crowds of the interdimensional airport boast several blink-and-you'll-miss-it cameos entirely in silhouette. These include the Xenomorph from Alien, the robots from Mystery Science Theater 3000, a prawn from District 9, and even a Moonanite from Adult Swim's Aqua Teen Hunger Force. You know, I'm genuinely surprised that they have not done a Mystic-style episode to replace Interdimensional Cable where they could just make fun of past episodes. Hey, if any of the writers are watching this, you know, you can feel free to steal this idea. Patton Oswalt's already been on the show. I'm sure he'd come back. Like any TV show, Rick and Morty features multiple vanity cards to close out every episode, including co-creator Dan Harmon's studio, Harmonious Claptrap. The title card in question features claymation renditions of Dan, his wife Erin McGathy, and an adorable puppy dog cuddling on the couch. Following the couple's divorce in 2015, the end card was changed to claymation Dan finding himself alone in the bottom of a bottle, but hey, he's still got the dog. Oh, and a cat. Thankfully, not all remained depressing in claymation Harmon land, as following season 4, it features Clay Dan laying in bed with a new clay partner since real Dan had then entered a relationship with writer and producer Cody Heller, and they still have the dog. This makes me wonder if TV producers put themselves in their vanity cards to signal their relationship status. It's kind of like a more exclusive version of Tinder. I mean, it's not my jam, but I suppose I can appreciate the craftsmanship on display. It's hard not to keep coming back to Close Encounters of the Rick kind. It feels like every time you watch it, there's at least 3 new things that you never noticed. We are introduced to a variety of Ricks and Mortys in this episode, including the beloved Dumb Rick, whose friendship forged with our Jerry Smith is one of the most wholesome things to come out of the whole series. But what's often overlooked is the Morty assigned to Dumb Rick. This Morty is modeled after Eric Stoltz's character from the 1985 drama Mask. And you might be thinking, is this how you're ending this video? With a random cameo? What makes this so special? Well, it's no secret that the primary inspiration for this show is the 1985 classic Back to the Future, with the characters of Doc Brown and Marty McFly being the clear basis for Rick and Morty respectively. While Michael J. Fox is remembered for portraying the iconic character, the role was originally going to go to Eric Stoltz. Stoltz was recast only 6 weeks into the film's production, so this cameo serves as a sentimental nod to Stoltz's unappreciated efforts. This show's appreciation of media and the history that it's a part of elevates it beyond something stoners can enjoy at 3 in the morning. You may not need an extremely high IQ to appreciate the show, but it certainly helps. What are some of your favorite details from this show that not enough people talk about? Oh, we'll talk about it. Let us know in the comments below.